Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon One Pickups.
Hey, it's me, Todd Novak. We are super glad that you are listening to our little show, the Guitar Knobs podcast, wherever you are listening. Tony, what do we do on this podcast?
We talk about boutique builders of such devices as pedals, guitars, amplifiers, and other electronic fun stuff.
Yes, and not only do we talk about them when they're not looking, but we interview them. And
Yes, we talk to them.
Yes, and guess who we have on the line?
Someone guess.
No one said that yet. Ding, ding, ding.
I'm Dunable, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's Dunable, right?
It is, yeah. My name is Sacha Dunable of Dunable Guitars. Thank
Excellent.
you for having me on your show.
I am glad that you're on. I've been hoping that we could get you on for quite a long time. We mentioned you very early on in our podcast when we were trying to figure out our way, and I said, "Hey, we should do an episode on boutique builders." Before we really knew what what we were doing, it was just the first couple, and everybody had to pick one that they liked and they wanted to talk about, and you are actually the one that I picked because I was like, wow, look at this. He's doing something different. I like it.
Wow, thanks, man. That's awesome.
You bet.
Cool, thank you.
So this is going to be most excellent, I suppose. Guys, gentlemen, dudes, people out in the world, I would encourage you to check out Spotify for our podcast feed. We are now on Spotify. You've probably heard this a few times now, but I'm going to remind some of those maybe who haven't been listening intently or that are new to the podcast. We're constantly gaining new people. Welcome all new people and welcome all old friends who are listening. You can listen to the latest, I believe, 20, maybe 25 episodes on Spotify, as well as on iTunes. But if you want to go to the Wayback Machine and listen to all of them or find a guest that you are particularly interested in, you can go to our website, theguitarnods.com. Our entire library is there, as well as all of the Four on the Floor segments in which our guests share their four most valuable pedals, not in the sense of money, but in their must-have.
They're desert island.
They're desert island pedals, I suppose you might say.
Or deserted island.
Or, yes. And Jared's going, dessert.
I like dessert.
Yellow cake.
Yes, I'm wearing a Yellow Cake shirt tonight. My good friend over at Yellow Cake Pedals was kind enough to give it to me. And I put it on today and I looked scarily like him. And I didn't know what to do with that. So, gentlemen, let's talk about what's going on in our music world this week. Jared.
Oh, yes. So, my wife and I went to Cedar Point over the weekend.
Okay, give some people some context that don't live in Ohio.
It's on the North Coast.
Of course, I started out that way on purpose to get you to say that. Yeah,
it worked.
So anyhow, I stayed in Toledo overnight Sunday night, and I got to my buddy's house, and because I was going to go check out Reverend Guitars. And as soon as I got to my buddy's house, I looked at my phone and to figure out where Reverend Guitars was in Toledo. It was like less than a mile away from where my buddy lived.
You could have walked it.
It was crazy. So the next day I went to Reverend Guitars and I met up with Ken Haas and his wife, and Joe Naylor are pretty much running that company right now.
Mm-hmm. Who's Joe Naylor?
Joe Naylor, he's the creator of Reverend Guitars. He also created Railhammer pickups and Naylor amps and several other things. So Ken and I hung out, and he showed me every facet of the place. I couldn't believe what all the info he had in his head, and he just every little place, every little nook and cranny of the place, he knew it was happening.
He's running the whole thing now.
He's running the whole thing.
Gotcha.
So were there just like guitars everywhere?
Very organized, yes.
Yeah.
His warehouse is very clean, very organized.
Would you be willing to eat off the floor?
Ew.
If it was yellow cake, I might. But anyway, I told him I wanted to purchase a guitar, and I showed him which one I'd like, and he had it already on the bench, and someone was working on it as I was being shown the facility. And
that's great.
Yeah, so he said, "Hey, you're going to love this coffee place across the street. It's awesome." And I looked across the street, and it was Speedway. So
that's funny.
So we went. Yeah, that was a good little thing.
So for those who don't know what Speedway is, it's basically a
gas station,
a giant truck stop style gas station. So
coffee was pretty good though.
Yeah.
So we hung out a little longer, and I showed some things, and he showed me some things, and we had a good time, and off I went. It was a really good time
with your brand new guitar.
It plays like a dream.
What did you get? Tell us what you got.
I got a 6-gun, and what they do is their guitars are made overseas by a really good company. They get it back and they set it up, and their setup guy is very particular about what he does.
They're very, very, very well set.
He's
very
so
well set
particular that he actually initials the back of every headstock, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
They're designed here. Mm-hmm. So it's not like,
right.
It's very quality, actually. There's nothing quality I want to change about it since I got it. So
really,
I'm very happy with it.
Not even pickups?
No, I like the way they sound.
Designed and
I might try some other things and to show him, some of my own idea. But for the most part, I really like the way it is.
Yeah, well, I played it. It's a nice. We've got a roasted maple neck. It's real nice. Real nice.
Wow.
Yeah, baby blue.
I'll have to check that one out.
Real nice, Clark.
Yep. So that was me, man.
Cool. Excellent.
How was Cedar Point?
Anyways, Tony. No, wait. You wait.
I don't fit on the ride.
Sacha, let's hear about you, buddy.
New in my musical world, aside from making guitars, which I know doesn't count in this segment, I've been playing a good deal of music lately. I have a new band called Future Us's, which is about to release an album. And so we've been kind of prepping for all that stuff.
I'm so glad you didn't say drop an album.
Yeah, no, I've never dropped an album.
You don't want to drop.
I dropped one once and it broke into a million.
Right, you don't want to do this,
guys.
Exactly, we got to sell them. Can't damage them first. But yeah, so we're getting ready to release that onto the world and getting ready for some shows and stuff. And then my other band, somehow I have time for two bands. My other band, Intronaut,
great name.
Kind of like looking for. Thank you. We're writing another record right now, and just dealing with all that kind of fun stuff.
It reminds me of Supernaut, my favorite Black Sabbath song.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that, but less super. Just a normal knot.
Is that a full Windsor?
Oh boy. Okay.
But yeah, nothing. I mean, I'm at work so much that it's hard to enjoy anything else.
But getting out on stage is good stuff, man.
Yeah. What kind of music you guys play?
Future Us's is really fun, and I bet you guys would actually appreciate a lot of what I do, even if you don't actually like the music. The music's really slow, heavy, metal kind of, but with a lot of effects and whatnot. I have this huge spaceship stereo rig.
Oh yeah, I'm into it.
2 full stacks. Huge pedal board, loopers that go in stereo and stuff. It's basically just my excuse to have the ultimate dad rig and punish people with it.
Sure.
Oh, nice.
And it's just one of those things that's completely absurd. We'll open up for some touring band that I'm friends with or whatever. They'll look at me what is wrong with you? Hauling all of this stuff, just dwarfing everyone else's gear. But that's just where I'm at. It's super fun and real self-indulgent.
Nice.
Yeah, that record comes out in September.
So
cool.
So sort of like a cross between really like Monster Magnet and Parliament Funkadelic.
Not quite as
without
friendly.
the funky.
It's if you took those two bands and slowed it down to about 45 BPM. That's what you'd be looking at, and added stereo fuzz.
Oh, nice.
you know,
Right.
then you'd have something close.
I was just thinking about the spaceship. Really, that's it. Yeah, and a metal version of Bootsy Collins. Watch out, babies.
That was good.
Anyways,
I don't often like what you do, but that was good.
thank you. I hope Bootsy's a fan.
I don't care what anybody says. You're all right.
Tony.
Oh, you want me to talk?
I do want you to talk now.
Well, this is kind of cool. I worked on a really cool.
So far, I believe you.
I worked on a really cool project this week. Mm-hmm. So I do a lot of work for guitar shops all around the country, around the world, really. And one of my guys from Long Beach Guitar Repair, you may or may not be
In Long Beach, California, or New York?
California.
Oh, that's where I was bored.
I know. I knew that.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I knew that. You threw me completely off there. You want to talk more about you?
No. Anyways, my apologies, Tony.
So Brian called me or emailed me and said, "Hey, I got a special project. Can you push this one through fast?" Mm-hmm. I said, "Well, yeah, I guess I can." So it turns out Mike Watt, who is usually a bass player,
Yep.
you might know him from Minutemen and Fire Hose, and I think he did a stint with the Stooges for a while. So it turns out it's a Jazzmaster guard. But not just any jazz. It's the craziest thing, and it should be kind of cool because what he requested was on a Jazzmaster guard, no upper controls, which is cool with me. But he has a Jazzmaster in the neck pickup. He's got a Strat in the middle, and then a Tele bridge in the bridge position.
I like it.
And it's just like I have a picture of it. We can post it up if you want. But
Sounds like a Frank Dunable kind of thing.
yeah, I mean, it's just like this. Totally. I hope it sounds good. It really should because you have a wide variety, and he moved the controls around a little bit, and it's got an extra volume control on it. But I'm sure it'll be. I guess Mike's going to play guitar for a while too. I don't know. So that's
cool.
always cool.
Didn't mean to hijack or name drop, but we just said Frank Dunable, good friend of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And getting a lot of attention right now. And take some time and check out Frank Dunable. Guy's making really, really fantastic stuff. That's it. I just want to share past friends of ours who've been on the show. Yeah.
Sharing
we try
the
to
love.
do that. Well, so far, we've mentioned 2. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Brian Wampler.
Yeah, okay. I said hello to him at NAMM, and I think he thought I was trying to steal his wallet. I'm not sure.
You do look a little dicey.
Anyways,
what about you, Todd? What's going on in your week this
I
world?
was able to go over and check out the progress on my guitar that's being built by Chase Gullett of Chasing Vintage Guitars, who is starting a secondary line of guitars, which is kind of cool, like a sort of an entry line, I guess you could say. And so he's kind of tucking this into that. And one of the cool things, actually 2 really cool things he did, that's a floating bridge, which means it doesn't have a standard Telecaster plate on it, like you see on almost every single Telecaster. And what he did was he put the copper tape inside for grounding, so you can see it in the cavity.
Oh wait,
which looks
when you say
really
floating
cool.
bridge,
Yeah.
we're talking about the hardtail bridge, right?
No. Floating bridge pickup. I'm sorry. I didn't specify
okay.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
You
I'm
know,
sorry.
lingo. I'm talking lingo, baby.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
The floating bridge.
The FB pickup.
Yes. So you got the Telecaster bridge pickup sitting,
Yes.
at an angle,
Screwed into the body.
screwed into the body, not a plate, and in the body cavity, he's got the copper flashing inside.
Oh, that's kind
And
of cool.
it looks super cool. And so I just thought, I was like, that was a really neat little treat to see. And he's got a couple of other cool things that he's doing for me, but I just thought I'd pass that on. So like, I think I may have the first one, at least that I've ever seen, that's got that.
Nah.
So there you go. You heard it here.
I heard it here first.
Yeah.
That's good. So what else are you?
A giant motorcycle is taking a dump outside of our window. My goodness.
Oh my dear.
Yeah.
That
Anyways,
should take us into 4 on the floor.
1, 2, 3, 4 on the floor. All right, Sacha, give us your 4 on the floor.
Okay, so this is really hard to just pick 4 that are like sort of my essentials, but I somehow put together a list. And I guess it's going to start with the Way Huge Saucy Box. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that pedal.
Played that.
Saucy box.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's kind of like a clone sort of thing, right? Is that sort of the idea behind it? It's like a drive. I kind of use it as like a tube screamer kind of thing in front of a dirty amp.
It's an overdrive, with its own characteristics.
Yeah, it's sort of like, tightens up, compresses, kind of,
That's a great way to describe that pedal.
Sweetens up. Yeah, because like sweetens up your just a crunchy tone. I put it in front of my Mesa Royal Atlantic, which is kind of like a British voiced Mesa amp, and it just like is just magic in front of that thing.
Oh, that's awesome. I think that the Saucy Box is one of those pedals that people think are going to act a certain way and are maybe often surprised by how it acts, because what you said about it tightening everything up, when I put that one on, I was like, that's the first thing I noticed. And this is we're living in the world of like, quote unquote, open feeling, transparency pedals. And that one's not that.
No, yeah. It's weird. It's like warmer. It like warms everything up, but also like clears everything up too. And I got it a few years ago, just auditioning different pedals for that position. And that was the one that just kind of stuck and just really helps in a live setting, I think, for like heavier, loud rock and metal kind of tones, So that would probably always be on my board. After that, I guess the essential for me and a staple for years has been the Eventide Time Factor. The delay. It's just like so versatile and pretty easy to use, I think. Like there's like an app that, you can connect via USB and edit all your patches in there. And, you got every style of delay simulated or whatever you call it, emulated, modeled. Stereo stuff, you can control it through MIDI, which I use like a MIDI switcher for all my pedals. So that comes in handy. Really amazing, like quality sounding delay pedal. I've had a few of them for probably close to 10 years now, and never really tried another one that could do everything that this one could do. You guys don't seem very impressed by that.
No, we're listening. We're intently listening.
Dude, that's awesome. What? Have you tried the what is it, the H9, the white box that has like everything in it?
Those look super sick, and I'm looking at buying a couple of those to maybe, because I think they're smaller and maybe more compact. So like when I do like fly dates, I could take just a couple of those and kind of handle everything,
That was Jeff Schroeder of Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, that's right.
That's the one that he kind of really locked onto when he did his 4 on the Floor.
Yeah, I believe it has most of their product lines. Yeah, either you can download into via app or whatever. So that from a traveling standpoint, especially, boy, that might solve a lot of problems.
Indeed.
Okay.
So cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What's number 3?
Number 3, right now, I've just been using the heck out of this this pedal called the VHD from a small company called S&K Pedals. Have you guys heard of them before?
I don't think so.
So this dude Scott.
So that's a yes. No.
Next.
So my buddy Scott DeBockler out of Jersey somewhere.
That's a fantastic last name. Holy moly. A guy's name, the DeBockler? That's
that would make a great pedal.
Oh man. Okay.
If you're buckled, he'll undo that, I guess. But yeah, S&K, man, they make a bunch of awesome drive pedals, and his specialty is kind of like recreating the preamp from like a classic, or not classic, I mean classic, but like obscure amp that people forgot that they loved, And in this case, the VHD is like a very truly and accurate recreation of the Ampeg, is it the VH140C, the old solid state, like high gain amp from like the, early and mid 90s, made famous by just real like scummy, like heavy bands like Dying Fetus, I Hate God, just like obscenely sounding. Yeah. It's like it's like the mid 90s, just like scummy death metal.
Yeah. Kind of that was kind of like the beginning of the scumplosion, right?
Yeah. Like solid state, just like kind of, almost Pantera-ish, but a little more like beefy in the low end. And it's just a really fun pedal to riff out on. I have one here at the shop that I jam on all the time. And I would encourage anybody into that kind of music to check out this pedal. It's like the ultimate heavy metal pedal, I think.
Nice.
Not to be confused with the Boss heavy metal pedal, which is a completely different character of a pedal. But number 4, and I'm going to give you guys a little exclusive thing here.
Excited.
Dunable Guitars is officially diving face first into the pedal world, and we're about to release our first pedal, I think like next week, maybe the week after, probably right around the time this airs, I guess. Through Chicago Music Exchange is going to do an exclusive launch of the Dunable Splatter Blaster, which
that's fantastic. I think actually I like it.
And you guys can maybe tell me, but I don't think that anything quite like this or exactly like this exists in the world currently. But basically, it's a stereo fuzz / distortion pedal. Where you have 2 independent circuits. One is kind of like a modded super fuzz, like kind of a boosted super fuzz sort of sound, a little less papery, a little more like meaty, but that same kind of gnarly super fuzz sound to it. The other side is kind of like a Boss heavy metal pedal, the Boss HM2, but sort of an underpowered one. Like it just kind of has this cool, like
dying battery kind of thing.
Yeah, and this is the thing. In my band, Future Us's, my rig for that band has been a Super Fuzz and a Boss HM2 going into 2 amps. So these 2 sounds, when separated but combined into your face through 2 different amps, is quite possibly the most mind-meltingly heavy, just messed up sound that I have ever heard in my life. And I don't think there's anything quite as gnarly as this. And when you mix them together, they kind of like fill in each other's like missing frequencies. It's really a special kind of thing. Huh. And so this pedal, basically you can switch between, you can run them in parallel in mono into 1 amp, or in stereo, like I said, and each one you can switch on or off so you can blend clean in with one of them. I like to route certain effects through one side and certain effects through the other way. You can go a variety of ways with it, and it works great for guitar and bass. But that has actually replaced my Super Fuzz and my Boss HM2 on my board. So it is now
that's killer,
officially essential on my board. And I hope that other maniacs like me find it to be as useful as well.
I would love to go to one of your gigs just to experience, as far as the stereo aspect of what you got going on.
Jared loves stereo.
Yeah, I myself, personally, I appreciate that kind of effect. So
yeah,
I just wanted to comment on that.
Oh, it's the best, man. It's changed. I can't go back now. It's really special.
And the upside is now you can sell your Super Fuzz and buy a car.
Well, it was a Super Fuzz clone.
So that's going to be available on Reverb.
I bought a sandwich.
I'm sorry. Did you say that's on Reverb or Chicago Music Exchange? Which one?
Chicago Music. I'm sure they will also sell it through Reverb.
Gotcha.
But, they're going to be launching that
there going to be a video?
Should be
on
any
it?
time now. There's going to be a video. They're doing the whole rollout for me and everything, so it's going to be
Well,
cool.
when that happens, would you do us a favor and drop that on our Facebook group so the rest of the folks can check it out and maybe go pick one up?
Absolutely.
Dope.
Thank you.
All righty. That's a solid 4, my man. I like it. I must say, I was kind of hoping you might have called the pedal the salad shooter.
Not salad tosser.
Based on what? No, that's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I don't know. Whatever the hell that just happened.
That'll be my stereo, reverb for my to complete the dad rig.
Yeah.
The man cave rig.
Okay. So, Sacha Dunable Guitars. We have you on the line for our interview because we find your product quite interesting, and you are one man doing a big old thing in the guitar world and doing it your way. And that's something that's what we do here. That's what we focus on. So we want to get into, how you arrived where you are right now in the guitar world, how, what inspired you, what got you into music, and where you hope to go with all this stuff. So, gentlemen, is everybody ready?
I am ready.
Fire at will.
Listeners, you guys ready? Okay, good. If you are familiar with Dunable, then you're probably very excited and yelling at the stereo for me to shut up.
Shut up, Todd.
If you are not familiar with Dunable Guitars, you need to go there right now and check out DunableGuitars.com. Unless you're driving, don't do it. Don't do that. Check out Dunable Guitars when you are able, and I think you will be quite delighted. If you have not already seen them on Instagram, which most of our listeners are pretty active on Instagram, I think you do a great job of showcasing your guitars. I appreciate the consistent way that you do that. I appreciate the multiple views, etc. And it's good stuff. So,
How'd
Sacha,
you get started?
how'd you get started in all this? Let me be more specific. How did you get into guitar?
I guess I'll start at the beginning, and forgive me if I ramble at all.
No,
but,
this is we're made for rambling.
This
bro.
is your time.
Ramble
brother.
at will.
I mean, to where I really got into guitar, we'd have to go back to when I'm like 9 years old, glued.
Let's
to,
start there.
Glued to MTV and the radio. I guess I was 9 years old in 1990, just to put that into perspective. So it's
Okay.
like, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, like just
Soundgarden.
all of that. Yeah, I mean, Soundgarden, maybe within a couple years of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
You mean they actually showed music videos on MTV?
I know, imagine that.
What is
right?
this thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's just what I was like obsessed with, at a very early age, and sort of dove as deep as one can at that age, and in that era of music consumption, anything with loud guitar, loud drums, I was just all about it, and I just wanted it at all times and as much of it as possible. So,
Was I'm gonna dig in real quick here.
sure.
Was there a particular song that really grabbed you and made you go oh my gosh, give me a guitar?
Sweet Child of Mine.
No,
Yeah,
I'm not asking
I
you.
mean-
I'm asking him.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that era. I mean, probably not Sweet Child of Mine, but another song on that record, probably Paradise City.
There you go.
Or,
I was close.
or Dr. Feelgood was a big one for me. Aerosmith Pump was the first CD I ever bought. It was a current record. Just that kind of stuff. And,
Cool.
As a kid, before you actually pick up a guitar, you're like, how do you, I want to know how to make that noise. And also just fell in love with the aesthetics of the electric guitar. I just thought they were cool as hell.
Absolutely.
And, so, within a year or two, 10, 11 years old, I got, an acoustic guitar to take lessons on, and just kind of went from there, the usual kind of path that one goes down. I'm sure that's, familiar to you guys, where you're playing in bands with your friends in high school, and just kind of figuring it out that way, like how to play the guitar, like how to use, gear, and learning about the whole world of gigging and recording. And I was just all about it. And all the way through high school, playing in bands and, getting into heavier music, like, going from the classic stuff to more like punk rock and, grindcore and eventually death metal, and then like progressive rock, like going the natural progression of extremes there, getting into like real cigar sniffing, like late 90s King Crimson even, like just to where it's like barely even music at that point. I just really got into the musicality as well as like the actual instruments and all the gear and stuff. And right out of high school, I went and got an internship at a heavy metal record label called Metal Blade Records.
Oh yeah.
And eventually, just sort of through that, you're meeting more people. I ended up working for another label called Century Media for like close to 6 years, I think. And all during that time, playing in bands. Around age 24, I think, my band Intronaut formed, and within a couple of years, we started touring North America. I mean, the whole world, really. And I toured with that band pretty solid for, I'm still in the band. We haven't been too active lately, just because I've been so busy with work, but, we toured pretty solid for about 10 years, and with a bunch of cool bands that were sort of on my personal bucket list growing up. So, I got to meet a lot of cool people through that. Never really made a solid living through it, but I think that's cool that I was able to keep all that fun and sort of seek out a job that kind of allowed me to do that, as well as like earn a living in some sort of like peripheral kind of industry. But yeah, so basically, I guess around 2006, when Intronaut started touring heavier, I got let go from the record label, understandably. I mean, I was gone for like half the year. So
what do you do here?
Yeah, that's sort of like this sort of weird, difficult moment where you're like, bouncing between like whatever horrible minimum wage job you can get that will take you, knowing that you're going to leave again in 3 months and probably have to quit that job. And that was around 2007, 2008, that when the economy was doing pretty bad, and the job market, it was tough for somebody with basically no actual skills besides like playing obscure heavy metal, for, most of their life. And so I kind of just realized I needed to figure out some kind of trade or something, just learn how to do something that people valued. And for those few years touring, I'd definitely picked up some tips from my guitar tech buddies on just like guitar maintenance stuff. And I kind of was sort of showing an interest in that side of things, guitar repair and whatnot. And I was like, that would be an interesting career path. And then I discovered the guitar building school at Musicians Institute here in LA.
Yeah. MIT.
Yeah. And it's like a 6-month part-time program. And I was like, just the light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, that's what I want to do. It's like electric guitars, the thing that I'm the most nerdy about, and kind of know a good deal about at that point. I just thought that was totally it, not to mention the fact that at that point I couldn't afford anything nice, let alone a nice guitar. So
what was your first guitar? Well, other than the acoustic, what was your first electric?
My first electric?
Yeah.
It was some like made in Korea Squire Bullet from probably the 80s, I'm guessing.
Cool.
It was like a Strat shaped body, but with like no contours and a Telecaster headstock, which is super weird. And I've never really tried to look it up, but
Yeah,
Never really
actually,
seen
a
one
lot
around.
of that Squire Bullet line was made in Japan.
Or maybe it was Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are actually really cool. I've used necks off of those on some tele projects because they're usually an all maple neck and have a Japanese profile. So yeah, that's actually a really good starter guitar.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to that, but anyway, yeah, like, at this point when I'm broke as a joke, as they say, it was like I could have one guitar and it was like you'd find the Les Paul Studio for $500 on Craigslist, that was aesthetically not in good shape, but played all right. And, I'd take them to my guitar tech buddies and, get them fixed up, swap pickups out. And, anyway, so the idea of learning to build guitars appealed to me because then I was like, well, then I could just make my own guitars. This is perfect, And, so I went through that course, and I guess, I don't know. Maybe
He'll edit that.
Maybe I smoked too much weed through that part.
That's all I did. I did the course and that was it.
I don't really remember 2010 at all. No. So I, from there, I got a job. That's when I entered the world of music instrument retail, which is a dark and scary place for many.
Oh yeah.
No.
2009, I think I started working at a store called West LA Music, which was on its way out. I think it closed within a year of me starting there, but it was cool to like kind of just get into that world. And I found it pretty interesting just seeing how, just seeing differences between, the brands and just how things were marketed and how things are sold in a retail environment. I mean, I'm coming from basically no work experience at this point. I'm like, 30 years old and I've never really had an actual job except working in a warehouse shipping CDs. You know what I mean? And from there I got a job. I had a bunch of part-time jobs at different repair shops around LA, which, I wasn't making any real money yet, but definitely learning a ton from a bunch of really, talented and experienced luthiers. And, so just sort of gathering experience for a while. And, eventually I, started renting my friend's garage, with the intent of, building up a bunch of tools and kind of just starting to dive into building and repair and whatnot. All the while also working the repair bench at Guitar Center in Sherman Oaks here, which a job that I held actually. Yeah, I mean, and I'll tell you what, as far as dark and scary music retail goes, that was actually the best of all those jobs I had.
Ouch.
Yeah. I mean, I got really lucky and had this store manager named Brett Arney, who I think works for Fender now, but he was just a real cool guy who was cool with me going on tour, like whenever I needed to. I got health insurance through the company, even though I'm only there like, half of the year. And when I was working there, a buddy of mine, the other repair tech, and I decided we should rent a house together and basically turn a garage into a wood shop, guitar shop, basically. And so that was where I was like, I'm ready to get a little more serious. I had built up my arsenal of tools and whatnot, and I was kind of ready to go. And so, yeah, in 2012, I moved into a house in Van Nuys, here in Los Angeles, basically. And, turned this garage into a wood shop and just started, drafting out guitars. I mean, I got some gigs, building some customs, some one-off stuff for people and companies, just doing little custom work here and there. But yeah, I just started drafting out my own designs, and, I gave one of the guitars to Dave Timnick, the other guitar player in Intronaut, and we went out on tour. and it just kind of went pretty quickly from there, relatively quickly.
What model was that you built for him?
It was the Yarn Hawk. I made 2 of them, which is a model I don't make anymore, but I made 2 of them, and I gave one to Dave, and I gave the other one to David from the band Red Fang, who we had just come off tour with, and I was like, "Hey, do you want a guitar, man?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll take a guitar." You know,
I mean, if you're giving them out, what kind of body style was that Yarn Hawk?
I took a Telecaster and basically changed the horns. I mean, they're drastically different. It's like a double cut, sharper horn kind of thing, but the butt of it is a Telecaster, basically.
Interesting.
But I was always into like, the 70s, like Gibson and Guild and just like solid body electrics from that era. Fender too, but definitely it was into like the set neck kind of thing.
Stuff with a little bit of extra flair from.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard at this point to really articulate where my head was at that point, but that's what I was going for,
When you so at that point when stuff starts to take off, how long was it before you really kind of determined your actual aesthetic? Is that something that developed really quickly, or was that just still happening?
Yeah, I think I had that in mind for a long time. I mean, I was literally basing it off of my own personal guitar tastes. I always played Gibsons. I always liked weird 70s Gibsons, like the L6S and like the Marauder. But I mean, in addition to also like the Les Pauls and the RDs, Flying V's.
Bill Lawrence.
Oh, is that? Oh, right. Because he was doing all the
put all those pickups and all those crazy like super buckers and the dirty fingers and all that kind of
That's
stuff.
right.
And yeah, he had a lot to do with that. Making that sound come out of that guitar during that era.
Was that like Norlin era, or is that before Norlin era? I don't know my Gibson history that well.
I think it was
after
mid
Norlin, yeah.
After Norlin, mid 70s to early 80s, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Bill Lawrence is not a young man's name. I don't know if that's just...
They called him Billy when he was a kid, I think.
Thanks for that, Todd.
Good job, Billy.
Anyways, so okay, so yeah, so you're kind of digging sort of the left side of the Gibson line,
and the right side too.
Yeah. Okay.
That stuff's actually climbing in value too right now.
Oh heck yeah.
Yeah, there's some people in the room that like the Sonics and things like that.
I know. I don't know why, but
I think they look cool. I mean, that was sort of the idea is that you take like this kind of like, actually a buddy of mine described it great to me. He's like, your guitars look like you walk into a pawn shop and you're seeing some guitar from some dusty old guitar from the 70s that you never knew existed.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
I was like, that almost sounds like a burn, but that's actually a great compliment because that's what I'm going for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is great because, I mean, let's be realistic. When we do go into those, that's what we're kind of looking for. Like, what's the oddball in here? Like, a lot of times you'll find like some kooky old Electra or something like that.
Right.
Like, what is this?
Yeah.
That's exactly cool. So I think it's safe to say that part of your aesthetic is largely based on darker woods.
Yeah, I mean, mahogany with an ebony neck is definitely the most common, I would say, of my wood combinations, but I do swamp ash bodies and maple necks as well. I'm coming from the world of tuning down to, like C sharp or C.
Right.
Or drop B, and on like a Gibson scale guitar, things get a little floppy, and intonation a little bit wonked out when you're tuning that low, and using like thicker strings. So I wanted to have that like Fender scale length. So our guitars come standard with 25.5 scale length. We also do baritone necks, so that you can tune down but still get a nice snappy clear attack and string clarity, and so I do actually like swamp ash bodies and maple necks because they kind of help that too, with a little extra just snap to cut through, a heavy distorted band mix. And I think that's what a lot of the customers sort of like value about, these guitars too, is that it's not a combination of like function and aesthetics that you can get most other places, I think,
I think it's totally fair to say.
Yeah. So it looks like a lot of your models are curvy, you would say. What made you break away to go to the flying V shape on your new model? Just something different,
Well, I've always liked a V. And I had some requests over the years for V shapes. But I didn't want to just do a straight V copy. So that Asteroid model has some cool bevels and like some comfort cuts that I think make it a little more ergonomic than the traditional sort of squared off kind of body shapes that you see for that.
Yeah, it's not as severe, but it kind of reminded me of the V2s.
That's definitely an inspiration for it. I always love the V2. The V2 is a very cool guitar
with the with the pickups that are
the
like
chevron
V-shaped
pickups.
chevron pickups. Yeah, those are cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and the weird sandwich body and everything. I love that guitar. That's probably one of my favorite guitars of all time.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. You got how many guitars? Let's see. You've got how many guitars you have in your line? I know you do some bass. You've got 4 basses, which that's pretty commendable. I don't think most boutique builders out there are building really quite a line of basses.
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot. I mean, there are some specific bass builders, and then there are a lot of specific guitar builders. But it's rare, I think, that you find people doing both, especially on a boutique basis.
Yeah, there's 2 sort of main bass models, and which are the R2 bass and the Thunderclapper. And then we did the Jeff Matt's signature bass, which is a great bass, but it's kind of a specialty thing. And it was sort of a small run that we did of those. And then the Yeti 6, which is kind of our take on a short scale 6-string bass, not unlike the Fender Bass 6. However, it's a little bit longer scale. That also is quite specialty. Although I have sold a handful of them, it's really not something I'm like making on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's a very specialized instrument, I think.
Yeah.
What scale length are you using on yours?
On that one, it's 30 3/4.
Oh, okay.
So again, just a little extra length so that we can tune it down. And again, for selfish reasons, I made that instrument just so that I could use it in my new band, Future Us's.
There you go. And in terms of like the bridge and that one has like a Jag trem on it, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And then I've moved to actually using just a regular Tune-o-matic bridge on it, which I think is a little more stable than most of the like, replacement bridges for like a bass 6 or whatever. Just as far as what's out there, the Tune-o-matic seems to make sense.
Yeah. There's only one that I think that I found, and I know a few people that have used them out of the UK. I think it's called Statrem, and they actually make a wider, much like the original Bass 6 bridge. It's a little bit wider than a standard Jag or Jazzmaster bridge.
Oh, and does it have like the Mustang saddles or Mustang looking kind of saddles?
Yeah.
I think I've bought those, or I bought them from somewhere in the UK, and they're like, it's like some super high quality thing. And if we're talking about the same thing, I thought it was a great quality bridge, but I think for like more aggressive playing, the Tune-o-matic is just it just doesn't move. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely much more solid. Plus, I think mounting it at an angle, of course, gives you a little more flexibility for intonation too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, Sacha, in your building, what are some of the greatest challenges that you've kind of faced coming up, kind of doing this on your own and getting to where you're at now?
Well, keeping up with, first of all, again, like I have almost no professional experience in anything besides playing music prior to this. So learning how to run a business is like first and foremost, like just learning everything, from the basics, basically as I'm going, has definitely been a challenge. I'm lucky enough to have a stepfather who is a fairly successful businessman, kind of help me along the way, like as far as like advice and everything. And, just keeping up with the growth of the company. We've almost doubled in sales every year since we started.
Wow, it's great.
Which is like insane. Just trying to keep up with the build queue. And I've had to change kind of the whole like ethos a little bit, or just adjust it a little bit along the way, like as far as how custom we can really get at this, standard price point, as well as like figuring out a workflow and more employees. It's definitely challenging, super fun. I love every second of it, but it's like definitely, I've worked 7 days a week, 12 hours a day for, 3 or 4 years now. It's pretty insane, but I can't imagine. I literally cannot imagine doing anything else because I don't know how to do anything else. So I'm stuck.
You actually don't have the capacity to understand what that might be.
Yeah,
exactly.
So how you mentioned other employees? How many people do you have working with you?
Well, I have. We just hired our second guy here at the shop, but I also contract a lot of stuff out now. I taught one of my best friends, one of my oldest friends, how to wind pickups for me. Because at first I was just doing all of that myself. But he has a background in electronics and knows, just how to make things. He makes pickups better than I ever did, for sure. Mm-hmm. So I have him making pickups, but he works out of his home. But yeah, I have two guys here, one guy doing most of the wood stuff, and another guy who helps me out with like assembly. And then I've also contracted stuff out to Grover Jackson's shop down in Laguna.
Yeah.
For, probably almost 4 years now, we've been working together. He makes a lot of the necks for me, and he's started to do some body manufacturing for me as well. Although we still make most of the bodies here, and we still make the Yeti 6 necks here ourselves as well.
Yeah, I met him when he was working at Rickenbacker. Oh gosh, that must have been 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer.
Grover worked there?
Yeah. Yeah, I was shocked. I was going through the factory and you might know him. This is Grover Jackson.
That must have been right before they started the GJ2 thing.
I think so.
Maybe.
I think so. But he was helping them, I guess with workflow and assembly and basically overseeing the entire floor operation there.
Yeah, he's been another great guy to kind of learn from, obviously one of the most just sort of legendary guys in the business. He's like one of those names.
Totally,
and
yeah.
He's worked with everybody, knows everybody, has done every kind of manufacturing, it's just like, I can't even put a price tag on how valuable it is to like be able to bounce stuff off a guy like that. So that's been a lot of fun. And he does great work, obviously, still.
Oh, yeah.
And then I also work with a guy named Chad Jennings, who does Jennings Guitars. Have you guys heard of them?
Yeah.
We did Jennings.
They're up in Camarillo. Oh, he's been on the show?
He will have been.
Or he will
he's
be.
Going to be. We haven't figured out what order that is yet.
Yeah. He's a great guy, young guy, and he helps me out with baritone necks and some CNC, like the drawings and just all that kind of stuff that I obviously have no idea how to do. And he's a great builder. They have a great little shop up in Camarillo there, and they do fantastic work. So he's been helping me out too with some neck production. But we still do all the paint and a lot of the bodies and obviously all the assembly and stuff here.
Okay, I have kind of a cool question. Was there a model of yours that really made your brand take off?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple points where there was like a noticeable feeling of like, oh, this is really happening now kind of thing. One of those was in 2000, what year was that? 2012, I think, or 2013, I guess. My band Intronaut did a tour with Between the Buried and Me and Deaf Heaven. And Deaf Heaven at the time were blowing up. And we kind of became friends on the tour and whatnot. And they were sort of like, hey man, like, would you make us some guitars? Like, can we buy some guitars from you or whatever? And I was like, I was like, yes, absolutely. Like, are you?
Yes, you can buy them.
Absolutely.
Cash, check, or charge.
And that was, I mean, I just knew that was like something that was going to help, you know, because they were really doing a lot of cool things, and I really liked the guys and their music, and it just kind of worked with the model or with what I was doing. And so when I made those guys guitars and people started seeing those, I really started getting a lot of emails and orders and stuff. Likewise, when Jeff Matz from High on Fire hit me up, and you know, this is another guy that I had toured with in the past and just was sort of friends with before I ever started making guitars. He was like, you know, I'm looking for a new bass. Like, why don't you make me something? And we kind of designed the Thunderclapper together.
Oh, that's cool.
And so once that happened, I mean, it was those two things kind of happening around the same time, where people were really like kind of taking the brand seriously. I mean, it was quite early on, and I mean, I think I sort of announced that this was a thing in 2014, and made those guys guitars and basses like that, you know, within a couple months of that. And it really kind of that really got the ball rolling for sure.
Sounds like a lot of work you had to cram in, man.
Oh yeah, it was insane there. I mean, I quit working guitars. I mean, I feel like I announced that I was doing this, and this was like a thing that people could buy, you know, or like a brand of guitar that existed in the world. And like within a couple months, I had to quit my job at Guitar Center and just kind of
That's great.
Dive into that.
So it's one thing to announce that you are doing a brand of guitars. I think you were still kind of coming in doing that at I think it was still, you could say it was the cusp of sort of the boutique explosion, like, you know, right on the edge of that. Where you're coming in though is a very interesting place because, again, for those who are not seeing these just yet, you found a place to sit with your designs that I think few people have done successfully. And this is one of the things that really kind of drew me to the interest in your brand, is that most people, when they're designing for the harder edge of things, tend to swing out a little further. You know, I think we can think of brands like BC Rich. You can think of even Jackson. Things tend to get like super pointy and super ESP. There's sort of like, it's either you have a traditional shape guitar or you're way on the other side. And something that I really appreciated about your design is that you are acknowledging that kind of design without just jumping right into the pool with everybody else. You kind of have a design sensibility that's saying, if you see it and you feel it, it's there, but it doesn't have to be, it's not screaming at you like, I've got a metal guitar. Look out, they're really tastefully designed and I think accessible, even if you're not playing a metal, frankly.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a rock kind of thing, but sort of metal adjacent. You know what I mean? I mean, I was never a pointy guitar guy. But I mean, maybe like in high school, I was really into like pointy BC Riches and Jacksons, like you said. But I've always been more like Black Sabbath than Metallica or what's a pointy Slayer or whatever. Like I love Slayer, but I've never liked those guitars. And in my own band, I liked a more classic, I guess more like stoner rock kind of, stoner metal stuff.
Yeah. There really wasn't anything out there like that. I mean, unless you're doing an SG. An SG was really about the closest thing you could get to that at the time, unless you happen to be able to find, an RD somewhere. But even that it just wasn't on the scene, and short of a Flying V or an Explorer, which were really, you got an SG, a Flying V or an Explorer. And
those were the
really being
Holy Trinity.
Yeah. Coming in and saying, wait, there's more. I just really, I appreciate that because that's not an easy thing to do. And that's something that we tend to hone in on here is like, it isn't just anybody who's making boutique stuff. It's like people who actually have a voice and are expressing it and who, have kind of fought it out to find it.
Yeah. I mean, I never really overthought it too much, but it's really, it was all, again, just kind of like combining all the things that I wanted in a guitar that I couldn't find anywhere and certainly could not afford anywhere. Probably kind of Forrest Gumped my way into that kind of like situation where it's like, oh, I guess this kind of thing doesn't exist right now. So that would be a cool, it's just kind of dumb luck that I sort of found, or made something that people realized they couldn't get somewhere else, but would actually be of value to them,
Well, and it's handmade. It's signature. You're not walking into, just some store that you can find that anywhere on the planet. It's like the only way they can get those, you make them.
Right.
Do you have a favorite model?
That's tough. It's like, this is cliche, but it's like asking someone who their favorite child is, of their own.
Yeah.
If they have their own, if they have children,
that's the point.
I would imagine. Yeah.
You take one from a fire.
Which one do you like?
Which one do you grab?
Desert Island.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Yeti is probably still deep down my favorite because that, I guess to go back to your question earlier, that was the first guitar model that I was truly happy with and that really started selling well. And it's just got a great balance to it. And it just ergonomically, it's like, I think one of the best guitars that I've ever played. And I love it so much. I even made a double neck for myself.
I just saw a post of that.
That's
you
cool.
just posted that, didn't you? Yeah.
So did you do a 612 or a 6.4?
It's 612, and the 12 is a 28 and 5/8 scale.
Holy
baritone.
moly!
Yeah.
Just because whatever. I had some other requests to do double necks from a couple of the like artists we work with, and I was like, I'm down to do that, but I'm going to do one for myself first, just so I can make sure I do it right, first of all, but also because I'm not going to give you a double neck Dunable before I have one,
So back to that. So what is the tuning on the 12 string neck with a 28 and a half? 28 and a half, did you say?
Yeah, 28 and 5/8.
28 and 5/8.
They are both in C sharp with a drop B.
Okay.
But the 12 is cool with that because I can go with a lighter gauge of string and still tune that low and have it be light strings, but still taut enough to like sound good,
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Cause I didn't want to just do a 12 and 25 and a half and have to use like, 12 to 56 or whatever. Cause that would just get kind of messy. That's a lot of string for a 12, So I wanted to have, so I could I think I have like 11s on the baritone neck in that tuning, and it feels really nice and sounds really good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's my personal favorite because the big giant knob. I like that.
Right.
That's so cool.
I feel like that was sort of a secret to this company's success at the beginning too. I found these absurdly large knobs that I would put on guitars, and just like one big volume, and people were just like, I love that.
It's the thing that caught my eye. I mean, honestly, that's what I remember.
It works great. I would like highly recommend putting a big knob on every guitar you have, if you have room for it.
Yeah.
I think I'll do that.
I'm dig it. Hey, dude, thank you so much for sharing, the insight to your awesome company, Dunable Guitars. It was great talking to you. I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time. Make sure everybody get out there and check out the Dunable Guitars. You can get that on the website, Dunable Guitars, and I'm sure probably a few other places. Where we're going to land next is with this awesome thing called
Would You Rather. Okay. This week's Would You Rather.
Oh, that was a short.
Oh,
That was
it
a
was.
shorty.
It was, man. But let me tell you what this Would You Rather is today. You are in a guitar store and there's only 2 guitars left. One guitar
That's all you got? Come on, man. With all the ad-libbing you do, that's what you got?
So you're walking down the street and a truck crosses in front of you and it almost hits you.
And then you go to Cedar Point, right?
And 2 fall out.
2 guitars fall off the truck.
All right. You want a guitar with, now seriously, you want a guitar with onboard controls. You want to be able to get lots of tones, lots of different things out of your guitar.
You want to have some wacky fun.
Exactly. So do you want a Gretsch 7681 Super X? And they run around $1,400. They have onboard phaser, sustained, a compressor. They have some really cool effects.
Lots of knobs.
Lots of little choices to make when you're jamming on the guitar. Or would you rather have a Les Paul recording? That was Les Paul's favorite guitar.
Yes, his personal guitar.
Yep, they were around They are around $2,500. The vintage ones may go a little more. I don't know. But they had the harmonica bridge. The older ones did. They have actually those pickups that are really, big and weird. Cool pickup. I've never seen
covered in
those. They're
like
low
rubber,
impedance.
Right?
They are low impedance. See, Tony knows everything. They're low impedance.
Got the harmonica bridge on it, right?
Got your harmonica.
I mentioned that, and the pickups are designed for recording. You can actually switch them to high impedance if you want to run it through an amp.
Well, it actually has dual outputs. It's got an XLR plug that you can put in. And
you know what? I think I wrote down some of the characteristics of the new one. I think the new one has a switch. Okay. Yeah, but you're right. The old one probably has.
They had a quarter-inch out.
No, they had a new one.
Yeah, they have a new one that just came out actually.
Really?
So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
But really, really different.
So what's your question?
Which one would you rather have?
They're both single cut.
Yep.
They both have handsome inlays.
Yeah.
They both are humbucker.
No.
Well, isn't... Yeah.
No, the low impedance are
I
not.
think the low impedance ones are actually.
All right, the Gretsch is humbucker.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But they're really big single coils.
yes. Yeah. So Sasha's been talking for a long time. Let's go to Tony.
I mean,
Gretsch.
hands down, no. I'm going with the Les Paul recording.
What?
And I'll add the mic mount like Les Paul had on his.
Man, he knows everything about stinking guitars.
So up kind of where the strap button is,
Right.
Les had a screw on, or it's screwed onto the guitar, a place that he would screw on his microphone.
Yeah.
So while he's sitting there, the mic's right there hanging on the guitar.
Brilliant.
And
weird.
But from it just, I mean, it looks weird. The pickups are weird. I think that the sections that it doesn't really. I don't believe this one has built-in electronics as much as like it doesn't have things like vibrato or things like that. It's more tonal shaping.
It has a lot of tonal controls, but they are similar in aesthetic. Like if you're looking at them on the wall, they'd be like, those are the two of the same
Todd is
kind
visual,
of guitars.
you know that.
Yeah. But I just, it's not the prettiest Les Paul out there, but I think it's cool. And
it is weird.
Well, it's a little weird.
Even the pickguard's weird. Come on.
Yeah.
But I just from the standpoint of of what Les Paul played, especially in his later years when he played live, I'm going that direction.
Okay, excellent. Jared.
Well, give me the Gretsch all day, man.
Really?
Yeah, it's good. I don't know. I don't know why. I've got enough Les Pauls at home.
Well,
I want a Gretsch. I like the fact that it's got humbuckers versus the single coils, and I really am intrigued, and I would love to hear what the effects sound like. The onboard effects, are they junk? Are they great? Yeah. You know, what's it all about?
Well, what's cool about that one, the Super, it used to be called a Super Chet, and Chet Atkins played one of those for a long time, especially
this is why Tony's on the
70s. But when they lost the endorsement, now it's they just called it a Super Axe.
I believe they called it back then an endorsement.
Endorsements.
Yeah. They spent a lot of time on the axe part too.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, it's a good choice. I mean, I have no problem with either one.
I actually,
it's one of the two.
The inlays are better, I think, on that.
Wait, don't steal the thunder, brother.
Well, I'm just saying the inlays are cool. Go ahead,
Sacha. Do it. What are you picking?
You know, I've never tried either one of these in person, and the Gretsch is very cool. But I'm going to go the Les Paul recording just because this is definitely one of the guitars that inspired the Dunable aesthetic. And it just looks, I don't know, I like the look of it and all this stuff on this little, like what a way to mount electronics, like with its own pick guard on top there or whatever. That's such a funny way to do that.
And I get requests for that that control plate all the time.
Yeah.
Really? It's super, super complicated.
I mean, am I wrong in saying it's basically the Gibson version of a Jaguar?
It's bigger.
Less confusing.
Less confusing, yes, probably. There's more labels on here.
It's different. It's got different
but I just mean like, here's your tonal box of everything.
Box of chocolates.
Yeah.
But it's cool. And I've tried to make these. The really weird thing about them is, one, they're engraved, which is difficult with modern pickguard material.
Oh, dear.
But two, they're also bent. They're formed around the arch of the top.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's about that.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff, and you almost have to make it and then have the guitar and melt it into, heat it up and melt the plastic into place. It's crazy stuff.
Wow.
That is funny.
So that's an expensive pickguard for you to make.
I don't make them. I can't. I've tried.
You've tried.
I ain't gonna do it.
You ain't gonna do it.
So I imagine the Gretsch one's a lot more flat.
Yeah, that's a flat football shaped kind of pickguard.
Yeah. Flatter. I don't know. It looks like there's some contour there. Maybe I could be wrong.
No, it's flat.
Okay, it's flat. I'm trusting Tony because he knows everything. I'm going with the Gretsch because it's way cool looking. I love the inlays going from 1 and 1 and then 2 and then 2 and then so let's see. Fret marker 3 and 5 is 1 square. Fret marker 7 and 9 is 2 squares, and on down at 12
and up.
12 and up is 3 squares. That's really cool.
You know why
man.
they did that? So you weren't concentrating on all the little buttons and
zoom in on the because I think
picker.
I want to say those are dice inlays, if I'm not mistaken.
Dice inlays. I don't know if we
Right
can.
there.
Let
Yeah.
me see.
diamond.
Checking.
Maybe?
I don't think so.
Nope, they're not
Yeah.
dice.
For some
No
reason-
dice, Tony.
No dice.
Whoa.
That's a great.
One thing that I do
album.
like about this Gretsch, though, it doesn't
finger.
look like it doesn't look like an old cowboy Gretsch.
No.
There's a modern feel to
just
it.
that.
It's a really soft horn, a really soft shoulder, and then a pretty sharp horn,
Sharp point,
and
yeah.
the lines follow each other,
Yeah.
which I think is really unique in this, and I like it. I think
that is
fun
a cool
and weird.
I'm gonna have to do a little research because I seem to remember some of them had. It might have been called a high roller. And there were
with
dice inlays.
I can see that. So this one currently is on sale on Reverb for $1,400. That sounds like a pretty good deal, and with a case with avocado velvet in the inside. Everybody, go pick that up right now. Unless Dunable's gonna actually, I bet he buys it right now. Watch that. Just to say he has it. Okay, dudes. Ooh, doggies. We got some stuff to take care of real quick. Tony? Oh, okay. Tony's proving that he found the dice one, so he's not So he's vindicated.
We never doubted High roller.
We never doubted you.
I know you did.
Okay.
But I wanted you to feel more comfortable with my decision-making process.
Sasha, we're in the home stretch. Bear with us.
So at this point of the show, we like to thank some very, very, very special people.
Yep.
We like to call them our executive producers. And how do you become an executive producer, you may be asking yourself? Well, you go over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs.
Yes, where you can also become any other kind of contributor.
Well, let's just shoot for executive producers this week.
Okay.
Let's try a little experiment.
All right.
Go for the gold.
Go for it. Reach for the brass ring.
Okay.
But you can go there. And, hey, if the executive producer thing isn't for you, there's other levels.
Yes.
You get some really neat things.
$1, $5, $10, and $20
stickers
and
stuff.
And let's just say that you have like all this money that you don't know what to do with.
Well, it's not all that much money.
Well, I'm just saying, if you wanted to do, say,
It's like a coffee or
more
a donut.
than $20.
Well, that's rare and probably isn't going to happen. But for $10, you're going to get a T-shirt,
You get a T-shirt,
barefoot button, a giant pack of stickers, and other branded
picks.
ephemera from people that have been on the show.
Yes,
For
nice people.
$5, you're going to get a barefoot button with a sticker pack, and
Sticker
for $1,
pack.
you're going to get a big fat sticker pack and other ephemera from people that have been on the show.
Yay!
But one other thing that you have when you become an executive producer is, Jared,
You get to have your name read on the thing.
that's
right.
right.
And that's
Your
what we're gonna do
name
right now.
read on the thing.
I say it every time.
Well, let's welcome Michael Van Zant on board.
Welcome, Michael Van Zant, a very frequent contributor on
you,
the
sir.
socials. He's always quick to bat with fantastic responses and comments to just about everything we post, and we greatly appreciate your interaction out there, buddy.
Thank you, Michael.
We really appreciate your support. And in addition, we'd like to thank some other folks.
Do it.
Tom Barazin,
Yep.
Martin Cliff, David Wolfson, Matt Brammer, Carlos Mancha, Pete Marshall, Robin Smith, John Daly, Oliver Gonzalez, Sean S., Chris Kearney, John Anglin, Robert Marfleet, Darren Gregory, Gary Goodman, and Beckett. Beckett. Zach J. Wright, and Doug Christ.
Thank you guys so much for your contribution.
You're the best.
It is so greatly appreciated. It helps the show go further and further. We're growing. We're trying to bring you more and more content. This show takes a lot of work to put together. And
can I just go on the record as saying thank you to Todd for the work that he does here?
You are welcome.
We have a blast doing this, but Todd's the guy that is here editing and pulling his hair out.
Yeah. What's left of it. Yep.
But yeah, I want to thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, dudes. Sasha, where can people find you on the internets and elsewhere?
DunableGuitars.com, Facebook, just search Dunable Guitars, and Instagram, I guess also, I think it's just Dunable Guitar. Just Dunable Guitars.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just
Nobody
you know how to
remembers
use
their
Instagram.
own Instagram handle.
Yeah.
It's fine. Make sure you do go and check out that Instagram handle because he's got some he's just got some great posts, and I'm sure you're gonna like what you find. Tony,
you can go to my MySpace page. No, I don't have one of those. That's a joke. No, my AOL account.
Right.
Yeah, I got one of those too.
Okay.
Anyhow, you go to pickguardian.com and peruse some of the things that I've done. I always try to post some interesting things, and that's at pickguardian.com. You can also go to the various social media, and that's under PickGuardian1, PickGuardian and the number 1.
The only one.
And the only one that matters. And that's where I'm probably most active on that, posting some current projects and things. I'll probably pop the Mike Watt guard up. And maybe a couple of other
famous bands.
Other famous bands.
Jared.
You can find me at Brandon Wan Pickups. We build boutique pickups and vintage style pickups, and I even throw some age on them so you can restore an old looking guitar. And we also repair pickups with a very reasonable price and fast, reasonable turnaround time. And you can get a hold of me at Jared, Jared, at BrandonWildPickups.com. Find me on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Yep. And you can get a hold of me at Todd at theguitarknobs.com. And also, we're obviously very active on Instagram, which transfers over to our Facebook group, which we've got a great bunch of people, great bunch of listeners who are friendly and are very helpful in answering a lot of questions. Make sure you check us out on Spotify. We're new on there. I mentioned that already, but I'm reiterating that fact. Sacha Dunable, thank you so much for joining us and for spending so much of your time with us and sharing your story with our audience. Make sure everybody you go out and check it out. Sacha?
Thank you guys. That was super fun.
Oh, excellent. We're glad to have you. You are now an official knob. I don't know how that makes you feel, but
you're the biggest knob of them all.
That's right. That big
I'm honored.
Anyways, gentlemen, subscribe! The hell was that?
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.